Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon. Thank you. Welcome to the 2013 J. Warren McClure Lecture in Marketing, which is hosted by the Saunders College of Business here at RIT. And I'm D.T. Ogilvie. I'm the Dean of the College, of the Saunders College of Business. And it's my pleasure to open up this lecture for the first time in my tenure here at RIT. I've only been here a few months. This year marks the 12th McClure Lecture in Marketing. And the first was held in 1991, and that's the year in which ARPANET, some of you probably don't know what ARPANET is, but ARPANET was the forerunner for the internet. And it was a closed group of schools and some government offices that were on that internet at that time. And in 1991, it was opened up to the World Wide Web, and that's why we're all here today using our BlackBerries and our iPhones and doing Twitter and Facebook, etc. At that time, McClure was thought of as a man with a plan, but even he didn't have any clue as to how the internet would go and how it would affect marketing. How many people are dealing with social media in here? Okay, so the majority of people here are on social media, and you may know that social media has had a great impact on marketing. People market completely differently than they used to a few years ago. J. Warren McClure was noted by those who knew him as a master at reinventing himself. He began working in his working life as a World War II Navy man. And then he worked his way up to be publisher of the Vermont Free Press newspaper before buying that paper with his associates in 1961. It was sold a decade later, and that left McClure as the company's largest individual stockholder. He became Gannett's first vice president of marketing, a position he held until his retirement in 1975 at the age of 55. He, along with his wife Lois, then became dedicated philanthropist, donating millions of dollars to dozens of organizations, including our school, RIT. He left an incredible mark on RIT. He served as a valued member of the RIT Board of Trustees from 1973 until 1986. He was an advisor to the Saunders College of Business. And he established this lecture, the McClure Lecture in Marketing, and McClure Professorship in Marketing, which was held by the legendary Saunders College professor, Eugene Fram, who is with us here today. Could you stand up so everybody can see Eugene?
I also want to bring you greetings from Lois McClure. I was in touch with her a couple days ago, and she regrets that she can't come here, although she really appreciates the honor that you're remembering Mac for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Fram is in himself a legend here at RIT, and we're delighted to have him with us. So Mr. McClure also started the McClure Scholarships for 150 individuals who were born on June 12, 1979, which was the 150th anniversary of the day of the founding of our forerunner, the Rochester Athenaeum. Is that how you pronounce it? Athenaeum. Okay, sorry. The Athenaeum. Reflecting on his career, McClure said that he had great success by working harder and smarter and by building on the ideas of other people. However, what he felt was far more important was sharing those ideas and the wealth he gained from them with others. Today's lecture and Mr. McClure's support is testament to that. It's now my pleasure to welcome RIT's Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, Jeremy Hafner, who will introduce our speaker today. Jeremy?
Thank you, DT. I'm going to just talk a la natural, so I hope that's okay. It's truly my pleasure to introduce the speaker today, Mr. Dwight Gould, who is a proud 1972 alumnus of the Saunders College of Business. I had the delightful opportunity to have dinner with Dwight a couple of months ago in San Diego, and we just had a wonderful conversation. And in that conversation, we really came away with the idea that he has a lot to share to our students. And so his visit here to RIT is at least partially a result of that wonderful dinner that we had. His start in the world of business came thanks to an RIT faculty member named Herb Mosin, who taught marketing here at RIT, but who also was an executive vice president for marketing at Bausch & Lomb. And because of Herb, Dwight landed his first advertising agency job with GM Dubois Blair Advertising here in Rochester. Today, Dwight is the founder and CEO of Aviatech in San Diego, California. And his vision for the agency came from many years of marketing experience as a senior marketing executive for national brands. His company, as the PowerPoint shows there, specializes in integrated advertising campaigns. And during our dinner conversation, I was very impressed by how his company has adapted over the years to all the different technological changes. And I came away with knowing that, boy, that ability to adapt is a great message for our students to hear, because it's very challenging in today's rapidly changing environment. So I'm sure that the talk you'll have today will be richly rewarding. Dwight has more than 30 years of experience as an advertising and marketing communication executive. He has served as Vice President of Worldwide Licensing and Marketing for Hang Ten International on the West Coast, and as President CEO of Resort Trends, a San Diego-based company specializing in resort advertising and direct response marketing. He worked as Senior Vice President for Marketing and Sales for North America for Trust House Hotels in London until their acquisition by Cendent Corporation. And he served them as Senior Marketing Officer. And in this position, he oversaw and managed Cedent's $125 million advertising budget, franchise advertising, database systems, regional and co-op programs. Dwight graduated summa cum laude from Rochester Institute of Technology with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. And he's a member of the San Diego State University School of Business Advisory Board. And he's a resident of La Jolla and La Quinta, California. Now, with him, he has brought two of his colleagues, his principals, who helped make his firm go, and literally go, I think. Todd Junot, who is President and Chief Operating Officer, and Jason Nill, who is the Vice President for Business Development, and they're going to be part of today's lecture as well. So let me tell you a little bit about them in that setting. Todd has more than 15 years of experience in domestic and international advertising and marketing. In his career, Todd has launched programs for Toyota, Samsung, Nokia, Budget Blinds, Meineke, Lawn Doctor, Ocean Pacific Apparel, and many other Fortune 500 brands. Most recently, Todd has led the development and execution of new media initiatives for Aviatech's clients. He leads a team of media specialists focused on performance-based activities dedicated to high-value lead generation programs for Aviatech's clients. He is a resident of Encinitas, California, and, I find this pretty cool, an award-winning pro surfer, although I think his pro days are over. But he still dabbles, if I'm not mistaken on that. How could you not in San Diego, California? He's a graduate of the Art Institute of San Diego and a member of the Young Presidents Association. Jason joined Aviatech in 2007 as a media planner and buyer to manage the national lead generation and media activities for the company's largest clients. He was well positioned for this role by his experience he gained during his previous position at Wolf Media. There he built partnerships with Journal Broadcast, Belo, Tribune, Post Newsweek, and ABC in local television advertising and programming. He focused on home service for his partner stations, and his strategies and sales approach grew the myhomeimprovement.com web property to more than 300,000 unique visitors and 800 home service experts within 18 months. Currently, Jason directs the new business vision for the company, working across the company departments to ensure clients receive the necessary insights to gain share, shift marketplace thinking, and generate franchise buy-in. Jason's a native of Chicago and has seen the light and now living in San Diego, California. He earned his BS degrees in political science and history from Butler University, graduating with the highest honors. So you can see that this team of individuals brings a rich history of experience, a rich history of technology to what is a very fascinating marketing agency. So please join me in a very warm welcome for Todd and Jason and Dwight. Back to RIT with a hearty round of applause. Dwight.
So, I don't need that. I don't think I need the mic. It was, I think, small enough. So, first of all, I got to tell you, this campus. I haven't been here in 41 years, and this is a big change, and what a wonderful environment you guys have here. It's just wonderful. We spent the day here. My thanks to Jeremy and to Craig and to Suzanne for inviting us and for facilitating this wonderful day here. We spent a lot of time really looking at all of the different disciplines that we're interested in from an agency standpoint, your design and your marketing and your business, and just all of the professors that we met today and the students that we had lunch with. Just thank everybody here for opening your hospitality to us. Should I use this back there? Okay. So with that, Suzanne was kind enough to come up with a title for this called Billboards to Blogs, and truly I'm part of that billboard generation. And thank you, Professor Frank, for coming today. It's been a wonderful experience at RIT, and it's a wonderful experience today. But back in the billboard days, you can see my staff who came up with this graphic. They actually think I was born before 1945, because I think that's a 1930s Chevrolet.
You're gonna have to wear this because they can't hear you.
They can't hear me?
On the camera.
Oh, okay.
So, or just hold it.
They can't hear me on the camera? All right. Excuse me. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. In any event, so what I'm going to talk to you about today is our transition as an agency, really from traditional to a very contemporary digital agency, and how we stayed abreast of new media, how we're staying out in front with our competition, and how we're helping our clients. So with that, we'll go to a statement. I have a friend, his name is Wes Nichols, that just wrote an article for the Harvard Business Review. And he's talking about how in today's contemporary business life, marketing life, marketers now have an unprecedented ability to fine-tune allocation decisions while making course correction in real time. Back when I started in the advertising business, and you're going to see a little bit about my background, there was television. Believe it or not, I'm still, television wasn't around when I started. There's television, there's radio, there's newspaper, there's magazines, but all of that was analyzed in kind of a swim lane vertical. You didn't really see how each one of those things affected the other. In today's life, you have search engine optimization, you have pay-per-click, you have social media, you have all these different online tactics that really, when integrated together, affect one another. We can actually study and see how television affects our search engine optimization, how it affects the traffic to our website. So all those things we're going to talk about a little bit later. But this is a little bit, I'm going to give you, especially the students in here, some of the professors already know this kind of thing, but this is something that I believe in. I got out of college. I didn't know necessarily what I wanted to do, although I knew coming to RIT it was a unique environment where I was going to learn something that I could step into real life and have a real job, and this RIT has that unique kind of environment. But I know I interviewed with Procter & Gamble, I interviewed with NCR, I interviewed with a number of companies, and because of this gentleman, Herb Mosine, who I'll tell you about in a minute, he directed me to Al Goldberg and Ed Merkel over at GM Du Bois Blair Advertising. And I walked in that building, and they showed me they took me to the conference room and they showed me their new business presentation. And at the end of that, I said, this is it. I think this is what I'm going to do for my life. And so I pursued what I love, which is advertising and marketing. I keep learning, and this is really important. It's something that Jeremy said earlier. You know, being a guy of 60-something, I keep on learning from these young guys, but it's important that you keep learning. It's important that you stay on top of the curve. And then learn from your mentors. You know, I've had 2 or 3 mentors in my life, and but I still see young people in my business that are mentors of me now that push me. Todd's one of them. Jason's another one. They push you to learn, so learn from your mentors. And surround yourself with smart, moral, loyal, ethical, and winning people. That's not always easy to do, but you know, you got to look at it and understand that life is a team sport. I'm going to give you an example of this. I hired these 2 guys and about 6-7 years ago, and Todd showed me that he could really lead a ship, so I've put him in bigger and better roles right along. But somewhere along the line, I guess we had some kind of office party or something, and I met his wife and his 2 kids. And I commented to my wife, at the time I think his daughter was like 4 years old and his son was maybe 7 years old. And these little kids were walking around in an adult world, carrying on conversations with people. And I thought, my God, this is absolutely spectacular that this person could have that kind of a family environment. If he has that, he could certainly lead my company. So I made him president. Okay, so with that, Rochester Institute of Technology was an important part of my life. But I didn't come right here. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York, and my first place out of high school was a little place called Bethlehem Steel. And if you know anything about steel plants, you know that it's probably where Satan finds his home in the evening. And it was a difficult place. I spent about 6 or 7 months there and said, well, I don't think I belong here. I then went to a small but growing organization called the U.S. Army, and I said, I don't think I belong here. So I had to do that. And the next thing happened is that I said, well, I think I'm going to enroll for school. And here I am. So this was RIT, and it was, at the time it was called the Brickyard. I don't know if they still call it that or not, but it was a very interesting place. Had great curriculum, and I decided to enroll in the business school. And consistent with what I was saying earlier, I was fortunate to have a lot of good business professors, and one of them was Phil Tyler. He was a marketing professor. Another one was a gentleman by the name of Herb Mosine. And Herb was executive vice president of Bausch & Lomb. I don't know if you know that or not, Suzanne. But so he was executive vice president of marketing. And at the same time, there was an executive vice president of finance, Danny Schumann. And both of them were kind of running to the presidency. Danny got it, Phil didn't, and Phil decided that, okay, that was enough time at Bausch & Lomb. And this is at the time when they were announcing SoftLens. Herb came here to RIT along with having a consulting organization, but he came here and was one of my professors. And he was absolutely fabulous. I became one of his assistants and helped him with papers and so forth. But out of that came an opportunity to talk about what I'm going to do when I grow up and graduate from here. And he told me about this unique organization called GM Du Bois Blair Advertising. And he introduced me to Al Goldberg and Ed Merkel, 2 guys that had taken over a advertising agency and printing establishment and created this really dynamite organization here in Rochester, right on College Avenue. So I went over there. As I told you earlier, I was sold immediately by what I saw in their new business presentation. And Al Goldberg became my new mentor, and he taught me a lot of things about business. He taught me a lot of things about the advertising world. I don't know if I'll ever be as good as Al, but he was a fabulous mentor to me. And I can remember he was tough. He was a tough Jewish guy. And so my first month there was nothing but learning the advertising business. It was learning the promotion business. It was learning the printing business. And I was there for a month inside. And literally 30 days later, he gave me a briefcase and he said, go get business. So my job was new business. My job was what Jason does now for us. And I can remember walking, because we had to work Saturdays, because we didn't have computers, we didn't have the internet, we had no emails, we didn't have cell phones. And so I can remember walking through the hallway one morning, and I had a pair of, and this is 1972, so I had bell bottoms on, and I think they were red corduroy bell bottoms, right? And so you excuse my French here for a moment, but I'm walking through the hallway, and I got a T-shirt and the bell bottoms on it, and I hear him say, "Dwight." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Don't wear that shit in here anymore." So that was Al's way of expressing his opinion. In any event, I was introduced to GM Du Bois Blair Advertising, and I had a wonderful time there. This was my introduction to my working life in the real sense, not Bethlehem Steel. And I was fortunate enough at a very young age to go out and knock on some doors and win some accounts. So I won Nestle, Nestea in a can, so that was one of our accounts. Borden Foods, Corning Glassworks, we had about 3 or 4 divisions of Corning Glassworks. Puritan Sportswear and Ship and Shore Clothing were our accounts, and I handled those accounts as well. But I was also fortunate to call. I can remember Rockefeller Center, and I just walked in, I knocked on this door, and it was a company called Amaretto di Serrano. It was called Foreign Vintages, actually. And they sold a little product called Amaretto di Serrano, okay? Well, Amaretto over the years, became a generic. And so they've changed the name from Amaretto di Serrano to just Serrano. That di Serrano means from Serrano, Italy. But back then, fortunately, I met the CEO, and we got talking, and he had a little concept called a table tent that he wanted me to produce. And so sure enough, I said, give me a couple weeks. I came back with a big concept, and we started a relationship. Well, the concept that we created was a series of calendar promotions for drinks. And we came up with print books, we came up with cookbooks, we came up with drinks books that went inside the boxes, and it became a multi-million-dollar account for us. It was just huge. We would keep those presses rolling with all these cookbooks and drink books. And so out of that came, and I just took this off of their website. And Amaretto di Serrano to this day is still an exciting brand. When I started with it, they were selling 100 cases of Amaretto a year. And when we got fired, which you always do in the agency business, by the way, if you go to the agency business, just be prepared to get fired. So, like 5 or 6 years later, an outfit out of Louisville, Kentucky, a bourbon company, bought the brand. And of course, they fired us. And so, but at the time, we had all these drinks out there, and we created The Godfather. And it's still on their website. I'm really proud of this because I just saw this the other day. It's out there, and it says, created during the 70s. that was us. And just to show you that agency guys can live and sustain themselves, and I was a good client of Amaretto. This is the days at GM Du Bois Blair Advertising. So this is the kid.
You might want to explain that's actually an airplane. Don't think you can do this day and age.
So I went from there. One of my accounts was International Management Group in New York. They worked with Arnold Palmer and a number of other superstars. They were a licensing company. The vice president was offered a job in San Diego, California, and he said, I want to stay in Manhattan, but I got a good buddy who I know would love to come to San Diego. That guy was me. And so they called me and we met. They sent me an airplane ticket to San Diego. They put me up at the La Jolla Beach and Tennis Resort. and the rest is history. I stayed. So I moved my family out there in about 1977 and became vice president for Hang 10, which is a surfing term. And I traveled all over the world. Fortunately, I got to go to Asia and all over Europe selling the 2 little feet. Out of there, I came, I was president of an agency in San Diego. But this, if you're ever, for those of you who have got friends in the hospitality curriculum here, and if you ever decide that you want to have a really wonderful job, the hotel industry is a good spot for it. So I got recruited by Trust House Forte Hotels out of London. I was their head of marketing and sales for North America, and we had a number of beautiful hotels. We had 1,200 hotels worldwide, and I took care of the North America sales and marketing. But that brings me to today. So enough about my background. We'll start with 2001 is when we started Aviatech. In May of 2001, we hadn't really started the company yet. We started it in the end of June, beginning of July. And for those of you that will begin your own business someday, you generally start very small. You generally start with yourself and maybe your wife, and that's what I did. So in 2001, after this illustrious career, I found myself putting together tables and cabinets and stuff, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? Why have I done this? Well, I called, I didn't even have a designer yet. And so my wife called on a very good friend of ours. Her name is Jean Lottie Nagel. She's now passed away, a dear friend of ours here in Rochester. And she and Linda Summers still have this little agency here in town, and they actually created the logo for us. So the logo, coming full circle, we came all the way back to Rochester to get our logo created. So I just wanted to share that with you. When we first started the company, we started with some technology and marketing, because my background's been marketing, technology, and digital. So we always had digital in mind. We've always done television commercials and a lot of traditional things, but this product we called Aviamation, and it was a product that you could actually deliver full motion video on a dial-up modem. At the time, this was revolutionary. About a year and a half later, it was nothing because of broadband. But that launched our company and gave us a tremendous opportunity to kickstart it. So we did a lot of work in the hotel industry. But you always got to have a backup plan. So here's the situation. We got involved in the hotel industry, but 9/11, like 2 months later, came along, and obviously that was a terrible time for the world, and specifically for our country. And it was a bad thing for the hotel industry. And so our business, even though we skyrocketed for 2 months, just dropped like a stone in 2001. Fortunately, we had friends in the franchise community, and we had friends that kept us moving along. But that first year was really difficult, and so we came out of it and we took off, and then we were very successful for a number of years. And along comes 2008, and I get a knock on the door, and the guy wants to buy the company. I said, well, I haven't been really thinking about it, but he took me to lunch, and he was very impressed with our company. At the time, we had grown really considerably. We were multi-millions of dollars, and he said, I own an agency up in Northern California, and he said, we're a traditional agency, you guys are digital, it looks like we'd make a good pair, you know? And I said, well, I don't know. I said, I haven't really thought about it. But he said, he put the offer on the table, and the offer looked pretty good. So I said, well, I think we can work something out. What I didn't do right was I didn't do my homework about him. So he did his homework about me, but I didn't do diligence about him. So keep that in mind if you're ever considering selling something. Find out if the people have the money. So sure enough, we pulled together a package. I got a good chunk of money in the summer of 2008. It was supposed to be 3 payments, and so my wife and I, of course, ran off and had a vacation. We went to the Mediterranean. We're on a boat, and my CFO calls and says, Dwight, I don't think that next check's coming. And of course, I'd sold the company. And I was still involved in the company, but it was sold. And so, I finished that vacation, got on a plane, came home, and I literally had to buy the company back. And it was a lot of money. I mean, because I'd already paid people off. I actually paid bonuses to employees for the buyout. And so I had a choice, and these guys will tell you, they were there. I had a choice of either suing the guy, which that would have been long, drawn-out kind of litigation, or I fess up and I find the money and buy it. And it was a lot of money. So that's what I did. I bought it back, and it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, I'm so happy I did it. We have grown. I have a wonderful group of people. When I say life's a team sport, I really mean it. I mean, I got a group of people back in San Diego that really allow me to be not only on top of my game, but they also let me on top of my game in terms of golf. They let me get out of the office and drive over the hill and play golf at PGA West. So I'm going to turn this over to one more thing, and this is one of my favorite books, is Good to Great. I don't know if you folks are familiar with it, but Jim Collins. And one of the things he says, it's all about who's on the bus. It doesn't even matter if you're selling widgets. It's who's on the bus. And I know myself and these two guys, if we're together, we can sell most anything. So that's it. Okay. Thank you. So, sorry, let me just use it. So what you're going to see here is a little 2-minute snippet that we pulled out of our main presentation. This kind of gives you an idea of who a Viatech is.
provide our clients is produced in-house by our own staff in our agency facility. From initial concepts to full creative and technology team to an award-winning in-house broadcast production facility, Aviatech is truly a full-service partner. This is Aviatech.
Apparently I'm supposed to be in a meeting right now. Guess I better go to work. Yeah. So I'm going to do the next section and kind of take off where Dwight left off from. Yes, I still surf. I was actually getting text messages from a couple of professional surfers while I was sitting there telling me how good the waves were back home in San Diego. And I actually had to give my kids a pretty substantial raise to their allowance because they helped me get promoted. So thanks for making me have to pay them more money. Anyway, so I'm gonna just take you guys through kind of a whole series of things about our agency and about myself and how I got to where I'm at. You guys are about to, a lot of you, kind of take on that journey in your life, those next chapters. So we're kind of generationally different. Jason's a little bit younger than me. I'm a little bit younger than Dwight. So it's kind of a unique perspective for you guys to hear kind of the different generations. So I'll talk a little bit about our agency purpose, our process, our products, our people, our work, and our partners. The first thing I'm going to start off with, has anybody seen this juxtapositioning of these photos before? Great. So a couple of weeks ago, I was at Google, and this guy kicked off this presentation using these photos. And it's really profound in how much our world has changed in terms of technology and marketing communications. So this is St. Peter's Square, 2005, Pope Benedict coming in, right? I don't know how many thousands of people are there. Anybody recognize that? That's a flip phone. Remember that? You guys probably haven't even seen one of those. That's a flip phone. It's a Motorola Razr flip phone where you could record VGA video and take a picture, right? So pretty impressive picture, a lot of people there. This is 2013, Pope Francis. 8 years, how much of our lives changed? How do we communicate? How are you guys going to do what you're going to do and what you're learning right now and how it's going to be applied is going to change not only from the time you've started here, but by the time you get out of here, it's already going to change again. So as an agency focused in this space, how do we stay on top of this? Because this is, the world that we live in, and we have to stay ahead of this curve to some extent. We have to keep our clients ahead of this curve. That's what they expect from us. But I thought this was a really interesting picture. If you guys haven't seen this, how quickly things have changed. Let's talk a little bit about our purpose. So, has anybody seen the TED video from a guy named Simon Sinek? Yeah. Circle of Why. You guys all seen that? So that's a philosophy that's pretty similar to what we follow at Aviatech. So why do we exist? Really, why we exist is not to just make products and services, and certainly not to just make a profit. Although Dwight might disagree with me with that, but I'll address that. We really exist to what I call kind of try and synthesize this revolutionary change in technology manufacturing and development, and how consumer behavior is changing with all of this, how they interact with these devices. Our job is really to try and take all those things and synthesize those things into activities that our clients actually get real business results out of, right? So there's a lot of agencies out there that do pretty pictures and beautiful things and have big budgets. Our clients come to us when they need the cash register to ring. So we're a very data analytics heavy company because we have to actually prove what we do is actually growing their business. Not all agencies have to do that. They get to make pretty pictures and just kind of, let those things go out the door. Our beliefs are quite simple. We really believe in just challenging the status quo and the methods that our clients come to us with in their minds the time they come to us. And we actually believe that we can change and grow their business. And our goal is to get our clients to believe in what we believe in. Why does anybody care? Our clients, to be honest with you, and you guys will learn this probably when you get in the field, they really don't care what we do. They really don't care how we do what we do. They really only care why we do what we do and how it impacts their business positively. At the end of the day, that's Jason's job and my job is to say, here's why we do what we do. It doesn't matter what or how, here's why. And profit is a result of what we do. That's what makes Dwight happy. But it's not why Jason and I necessarily come to work every day. We know we have to make a profit as a business, but we have different motivations of why we come to work and do what we do. And it's inspiring. I've spent all day today, looking around your campus and hearing from some of the students here, and it's very inspiring to realize that you guys are going to come into the workforce and help companies like ours exist for really great reasons, and it's to do great things for our customers. How do we do what we do? Dwight mentioned earlier, we hire really, really good people. We hire people that believe in the vision of our company and the vision of our leadership, and that want to come in and be a part of that. We look for people that don't want to come join our organization because it's a job, because you can get a job anywhere. We want people to come in and inspire and grow and innovate the things that we do for our clients. So that's not as easy to find as you think, although I think I've found literally a virtual powder keg of students here that could fulfill that for us coming up in the future. So we really look for those leaders that can come in and grow with us. Swim lanes, Dwight talked about that. Integration, if there's anything I can tell you guys that you can take away from today is try not to view things in swim lanes. That really doesn't work anymore in the world of integration. There's so many things out there that can be done, and there's so much data that comes from all these different things nowadays. If you ignore all those different channels and you don't figure out how to integrate things, you will miss something. And when you miss something in our business, you get fired. So you can't miss things like that. So integration is highly critical to what we do. Team collaboration, it's really big for us to think about how our departments work. And the thing that I did not know about RIT that I learned today is that you have different schools here. And in fact, students actually cross those borders and they get together and they collaborate on ideas and product development and R&D and the business side of things. I've never heard that before. I was at San Diego State University last week. Does not exist. Doesn't exist there. It's amazing to learn what I've learned today about you guys and how you guys are going to have this collaborative kind of experiential journey through RIT, and you're going to come out into the workforce, in my opinion, way more valuable, way more marketable, and way stronger than students who may be going to other schools who are just focused on getting their business degree.
Are we taping this, you guys?
We define the process at Aviatech. We sit in meetings, probably spend more time in meetings than I should. But Jason and I and our account services team and our new media team and our developers and our creative people and our journalists and our writers, we all sit together and we collaborate. And we try to figure out how can we solve a problem that's going to yield a result that's going to help our client's business grow. So we define that process. We don't let people come in and tell us, hey, the process should be this. Marketing's done this way. Do it like this. We let the people define the process in our agency, and that's what helps us succeed. Keep clients that we've had since Dwight opened the door. We have clients that 11 years ago or 12 years ago are still with us today because of this kind of philosophy within inside of our company. So let's talk about our products. You guys all recognize that person, right?
Yeah, Bill Gates, right?
Yeah, yeah, Bill Gates, that guy. Our products, our services are very simple. We create products and services that are designed to do one thing and one thing only, help our clients' businesses grow. That's what we do. That's why they come to us. Again, our clients don't buy what we do or how we do it. They buy why we do what we do because it makes them feel good and their businesses grow. Here's a really important thing that I've learned over the last 5 or 6 years dealing with the type of businesses we deal with. I had not been in franchising prior to coming to Aviatech, which is the core of the brands that we work with across America. When they trust you, and they believe in what you believe in, just like you guys buy products and services because your gut tells you, hey, that's the right product for me, I feel good about that. Our clients buy for us from the same reasons. So one of the goals that Jason and I have to accomplish on a near daily basis is getting our clients emotionally responsive to what we're trying to do and what we believe in and how it's going to actually help their business grow. So when we can get to that point, it's no different than buying cough medicine or anything else, to be honest with you. Their gut feelings say, hey, this is a good company I want to do business with. They're really going to be my partner in the long run. I feel good about that. I'm going to do business with them. Emotion drives purchase, not features and benefits, contrary to that picture. So just a little bit about me and my past. You guys heard somewhat about me earlier. I spent a lot of years in marketing and advertising, and I kind of came to a crossroads. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I'd gone through 2 companies that had both been acquired and consolidated staff into Los Angeles and other areas. I didn't want to move. I really liked San Diego. So I took a year off at a fairly young age. I was in my early 30s. That's a pretty, a lot of my friends say, hey, are you having a kind of that emotional crisis part of your life or whatever? I'm like, no, I'm just not really sure if this is what I want to keep doing. So I worked for a year for a public philanthropist, a woman who actually turned out to be the first woman to row a boat across the Pacific Ocean from San Francisco to Australia on an ocean conservation mission. So I worked for her for a year with her public relations and her sponsorship funding and that type of thing. And I didn't make any money, and I spent all my 401k money. And when that ran out, I was like, well, it's time to go back to work. I had a couple of conversations with Dwight via email and a phone conversation. It was in December, and my wife and I and my one youngest child at the time, we were at Disneyland, and it was Christmas, and we were sitting on the curb on Main Street getting ready for the parade of lights to come down, and my cell phone rang, and it was Dwight, and it was Christmas, and I didn't have a job, and he offered me the job. And he offered me a job as the media director of the agency, which a lot of my background was in media. And that was a great call to get at Disneyland at that time. So I took that job. And my whole goal was just to come in. I had never decided to work really hard at anything because I kind of came up in the .com era. And everybody in my generation, so I'm Gen X, you guys are millennials, I'm Gen X. If you look at resumes of people in my generation, you have a different job every year and a half. And it's at a different startup and a different .com. You maybe last 2 years before that .com went bust and you had to go somewhere else. So I've got like 12 jobs on my resume, right? But anyway, I decided to work really hard at Aviatech. I'd worked for big public companies. I'd worked for small companies. I knew I didn't want to go to a big global public company again. I didn't really want to be a number. I wanted to be able to have a voice and contribute and make a difference. Dwight runs a very family-oriented company, and I liked that, so I took that job. And I worked hard, and I don't know if it's because of my kids or because I worked hard, but somehow I landed where I'm at today, which is being the president of the company. So for me, it's been a growing experience, and I'll talk a little bit about mentorship, about how to run a company and how to motivate and inspire the people that come to work every day for you. And for a lot of them, most of the staff in our agency, and if any of you go work in an agency, are under 30 years old. It's a hard job. You work long hours. You don't get paid a lot. It's a difficult industry to not just your agency, all agencies, right? So it's a difficult industry. But I have kind of evolved my leadership style since I've been there. And there's a really great ebook that came out called Game Changers from a guy named Wolf Olins. And I read that, and I said, that's me. Those are some of the things that I want to exhibit in running this company. Those are kind of the things that I want to do with the staff. And I'll talk about why I have this picture of this baby wearing the RED campaign up there. Does anybody know what RED is? This happened a few years ago, so you guys might not even know about RED. So there's one person here that knows what RED is. So my goal is to try and lead through being purposeful, boundaryless, experimental, value creative, things like that. And try to lead through vision sharing and collaboration and inspiration, getting everybody in the company involved. It's easy to be the president and sit in my office and just give orders and be that kind of a president, but Dwight wasn't like that with me. He was very open. His door's always been open, so I've always been able to go in there and ask him and talk about ideas and some things he liked, some things he didn't like. I remember the first day we sold our first social media account. Dwight said, social media is not going anywhere. Let's not go down that path. And look where it is today. So you never know, right? That's why we have to work together and mentor each other. But the RED campaign is a really interesting campaign. So when you talk about game changers, RED was created by Bono from U2, another guy. And they basically wanted to come up with a way to generate revenue or funding for things like malaria and HIV/AIDS. I got to pull up the stats here. So the reason why this is kind of falls in this game-changing component of of what I'm talking about is, so RIT became a licensing deal. So you could go to Target or Nordstrom's, and you could buy products, these apparel companies that actually license the use of the term RIT, and a portion of the proceeds went to one of those funds. So anybody guess how much money from RIT actually funds HIV/AIDS research today? Anybody want to guess? 25%. Think about how much money goes into HIV/AIDS research. 25% of that internationally comes from this game-changing campaign started by one guy. So that's an idea of what a game-changer type product and idea can yield. It can be very powerful. It's very simple. That's it right there. But it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly game-changing. 50% of tuberculosis funding comes from this, and 75% of the funding for malaria research and prevention comes from this campaign. And that's huge. We're talking about millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. This I've learned, I guess, over the last 10 years, especially being at Aviatech and becoming in the role that I'm in, having to be a leader. Emotional intelligence is highly critical in my role at my office. If I freak out about something, well, what do you think the people that work in my agency are going to think? They're going to freak out. It's like my kids. If I'm mad at home, they get all flustered and they don't know what's going on. So in my role, I can't get that way. So I have to practice what I call emotional intelligence. This was actually, there's a great Harvard Business Review book on this topic. So if you're interested in it, look it up. But these are kind of the core tenets of emotional intelligence that I try to practice pretty much every day, not only at work, but in my life at home and with my family and my kids. But it's being self-aware is number one and foremost important. Self-regulation, got to know when to regulate yourself. You got to kind of know when to check yourself in business and in life in general. You have to be motivating. You have to be empathetic. These are all things I find in Dwight as well. And social skills, really important, especially in the space that you guys are getting into. Somebody mentioned today, we were talking about the difference between programmers and coders being introverts and creatives, sometimes being introverts. But then there's the other side of the business where you're very public and public relations and things like that. That's all converging. So I'd practice social skill. You don't necessarily just want to be the guy in the corner writing code, because you never know how your world's going to collide with somebody else's world, and you got to kind of come out of that box. So that's a really important thing. These are tenets that I try to practice on a daily basis. Dwight didn't like this reference, but I think it's a great one. This is Mr. Miyagi from the original Karate Kid, which most of you, again, are probably too young to know about. But having a mentor is really important. I came into Aviatech with about 10, 11 years of experience in marketing, and I'd been at a couple of big brands and a couple of big companies, and I pretty much thought I knew what I was doing. And then Dwight started talking about working back in the 70s and where advertising and its roots and its foundations came from, and copywriting and creative, and then how to run a business. I knew some things about marketing. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to motivate staff. I didn't know how to hire people. I didn't know how to hire the right people. There's a lot of things I didn't know how to do that I thought I knew how to do, or I'd hoped I knew how to do, and I realized, hey, having a mentor is a really powerful thing. They can teach you a lot. So I would encourage everybody to find that mentor in your life, whether it's a parent or an uncle or a professor or somebody who runs a business, and latch on to them if they'll take you under their wing and learn from them. Don't think that your ideas are the only way to do things, or that those are the most important ways to do things. You'd be surprised what you can learn for somebody who might have done something that was important to them 30 years ago. In our business, it's still applicable today in our generation in the 2000s. So this is fun. So how many people have seen Google Glass? Perfect. So I mentioned a few weeks ago I was at Google. I had seen videos, seen the commercials, I'd seen the pictures, and then I went to Google. And there I saw people walking around with Google Glass on. And it was freaky. It was really, really weird, looking at their eyes, but knowing they're looking at something else. I didn't really know what they were looking at, but this world is coming. They'll be on the street in very soon, short period of time. And it's important for a company like us to stay involved in this arena because, again, like the pictures I showed, this kind of comes full circle from the beginning. This is your world. Get ready. It's going to come really fast and furious. You got to stay on top of this stuff. Whatever means you do, we read a lot of blogs and tech blogs, and we follow a lot of, people like that to stay on top of things. But this stuff's coming, and it's going to change the way you guys do what you do. What you think you're going to do today, and what you think is a cool way to do something today, will be different, guaranteed, in 12 months. I promise you, it'll be different. Just the last few slides here on the agency in terms of our clients. So I told you guys we work with franchise brands. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the difference between a franchise brand and a non-franchise brand, but Subway, McDonald's, those are all kind of franchise brands. So it's just a list of our clients, some of the clients. We actually work all over the U.S., so Jason and I do a fair bit of travel. Got to get on a plane, got to fly to New York, got to fly to other places. We do have a few clients in San Diego, which is nice, but the majority of our clients are all over the country. This is just a whole list of non-franchise stuff that we've been involved with at one point in time or another. Just to show you we do stuff outside of franchise. And before I got to Aviatech, Dwight did some really cool stuff in the cause marketing arena, which I think any company having social responsibility and doing things in this field is very important. So we try to be involved in cause marketing related initiatives as much as possible. Very proud of the stuff that the agency has done in the past for American Legacy Foundation, which was the tobacco litigation money, and the Truth campaign, which, again, most of you are probably too young to remember that. But Mothers Against Drug Driving, that's still very much alive today, and I'm happy that we've been involved with that, and the Avon Breast Cancer Walk. Anybody know what that is? You should all know this. Everybody should know this. I know you know what it is. Those are Google bikes on Google's campus. So everybody gets around at Google on those, and they're everywhere. I actually saw a photo after this of an entire warehouse full of 10,000 of these bikes, where they have full-time bike mechanics that work for Google, and that's all they do is repair and make sure that the Google bikes are maintained. So I was at Google, everybody was riding around these bikes. The reason why I bring up Google again is we're a very close partner with Google. A lot of the development and the R&D and the technology that we come out with is inspired by what Google does. We don't do a lot of the things that we do because we think they're great ideas or because we want to do them or spend money or time and energy on them. We do them because we have to, because Google keeps changing things every single day. Google changes their algorithm. If nobody knew this, they change it roughly 700 times a year, almost 2 times a day. So imagine being a search engine optimization person trying to keep up with that. It's you get gray hair really quickly. But it's a reality. This is a reality of what they do. We're very close with Google. They inform a lot of what we do. They allow us to beta test products before they're released. We get ideas. Having partnerships like this with our agency helps us succeed with what we do with our clients. So having partnerships in your world are going to be things that are going to be very important that you're going to want to pay attention to. Do a lot of work with Facebook. Funny thing is, I'm finding out from my friends that have 12, 13-year-olds now, Facebook's dead. Nobody uses it. It's all Instagram. I didn't know that. Still, I use Facebook a little bit, but it's dead now with tweens. Did you guys know that? Perfect. We still work with Facebook. A lot of our clients work with Facebook. We work with Facebook, so they're another strategic partner of ours. Yelp. You guys use Yelp? We work a lot with Yelp. We're doing some development deals with Yelp right now that they've never done before, which is really fun. We're finding ways to bring in our clients' products and services into a Yelp environment in a kind of a direct response mechanism. Again, a lot of what we do is performance-based. So why would we partner with Yelp? Because I can get people that go to Yelp, like a 38-year-old mom who needs new window coverings for her house, and we happen to have a window coverings company. And she's searching window coverings companies on Yelp. And I can put my client there, and they're only going to pay for something if that person actually becomes a lead. That's huge for a company that we deal with, that they can get exposure there, they can be there, but they only have to pay if somebody actually wants to do business with them. So we're constantly pushing the boundaries of what media companies will actually allow, because they don't typically allow those kinds of things, and it's very important that we continue to push those kinds of boundaries as well with these kinds of companies. So know these companies are out there, know they have business models, they are flexible. You can do different things with these companies. Anybody heard of this company? Domo? So Domo was started by a guy named Josh James, who started another company previously called Omniture. And Omniture grew to be one of the largest kind of analytics and data measurement companies for the web. And he sold it to Adobe for $1.8 billion. He started this company, Domo. Domo makes dashboard analytics and information that's generally relative to a chief marketing officer at a brand. So if you guys go to a company and you work for a company, not an agency, and you want to know how your products or services are performing, you might have some sort of dashboard that would tell you, hey, sales are up or down, advertising spends up or down, trends are doing this or that. We actually got in touch with this company and said, do you make anything for agencies? They said, no, we don't. Well, could you make something for an agency? Sure, we're a startup. What do you want to do? Could you take all of our clients' data and suck it all into one big dashboard and tell us all kinds of really neat things about it? Probably. So now we're in a development kind of R&D mode with this company to pipe in all this data from television advertising and internet advertising and social media and mobile, search, Google, all these different companies, all that data is available. Now it's getting sucked into one big dashboard that we're going to be able to use that data to inform our clients about how things that we're doing is affecting their business. That doesn't necessarily exist today for a lot of companies, and a lot of the companies that you guys may go work for, a lot of the agencies that you may go work for. But these kinds of companies are started by people like you. They're started by people with a vision. They're started by people that understand, hey, is there a different way to do something? And they dare to try, and they're not afraid to fail. This is a great company. Keep an eye on this company as they come up in this space. Anybody seen this company? Cool. One person here. Have you used it?
Yeah.
All right. So this company was started by Dustin Moskovitz from Facebook. Asana is a collaborative project-based management tracking software. So our agency deployed this software, and this is how all of our different groups collaborate. Our media planners and buyers collaborate with our account service managers, collaborate with other people in our agency to work on projects. These kinds of things, if you haven't started working with these kinds of tools, they will be part of your world for sure when you get into either an agency or perhaps a company where you're on an engineering team or a business development team or whatever it is. But again, our business relies on tools like this, and we have to continue to evolve and innovate the partners that we work with in order to stay ahead of the game. So another great tool. If you guys haven't used it, might want to check it out. That's it for me. I'm going to give it over to Jason. Jason's going to come up and give you guys a different spin on things from a younger generation.
Hey guys, I just want to respect everyone's time. I think we're right about the time we're going to wrap it up, but I'm selfishly going to take 3 more minutes to talk. So I guess if you want to know about me, come find me during the reception. If you want to know about the Butler Way and beautiful Torrey Pines, you can come find me about that. We can move behind this stuff as well. I want to start here because I want to try to provide a little bit of advice or foresight. So all the millennials in the room, I'm kind of on the front end of the millennial. I was born in 1983, and I read this one book that said basically 80 to 98, you're a millennial, i.e. you grew up. What's really interesting is that 97% of all purchase decisions, and this is data from Google, begin with searching online. I had an interesting question. Do people really go online to look at saturated fat in cheese before they make a purchase decision? Do mothers really go online and try to get a $1 off coupon for Benadryl or maybe the CVS brand of Benadryl? In fact, they do. What's really exciting about that is as I go to different franchisor conferences and participate in all these different marketing summits and meet CEOs of companies that are Dwight's age, search is kind of something that they get, but it's not really that understood, and they say, well, do people really do it? Well, in fact they do. We are in such a great position, being millennials, because for us, that purchase point, which we call the zero moment of truth, you can read about it at zeromomentoftruth.com. July 2011, Saatchi and Google came together and they said, we need to figure out a way to communicate to our retail clients that people actually search. So they created this really great infographic called the Zero Moment of Truth. Obviously, the stimulus is direct mail and television in the marketplace. I could even be maybe someone talking about the brand that you meet on the street. But this is where it happens, right? ZMOT, this is where purchases happen, right? Purchases don't happen in the store. When you walk into Best Buy and you already know if you're going to buy that Bose noise canceling headset or you're going to buy Beats by Dr. Dre. You've done the research. And for us millennials, we're in such a great position because for us, this isn't something we have to learn. For us, it isn't something that we have to be convinced. It's and always has been. So this is something really, really exciting. Another really exciting thing for us, especially for me because I'm a terrible creative. I'm much more of a critic. There's that book, Groundswell, that talks about the 7 different types of people in social media. I'm absolutely a critic, but marketing is a science these days, and we absolutely believe marketing is a science. I'm sure all of you have purchased products on Amazon, and maybe you purchase the Doors collection, right? Well, then they're going to give you some Simon and Garfunkel to also buy maybe. But anyways, we're running these great campaigns experiments right now, and for us it's all about conversion rates. So when we work within a content management system, or if we're bidding on a specific keyword for a client, or we're trying to understand how social media drives retail traffic, still trying to figure that one out. If you guys know that answer, come see me. But there's some really great, wonderful campaign experiments. I'd love to talk to you guys more all about how we're running campaign experiments to optimize conversion rates. In the most basic sense, if we look at a key term, let's just say it's interior house painting on Google. If we were to search interior house painting on Google and we'd visit a painter's website, maybe we'd show an interior picture. And that interior picture, because we knew your IP address, would have a review of the person down the street. Those are the things that we're doing in our agency on a daily basis for our clients because it's about conversion rates. I was with a client the other day who drove a ton of unique visitor traffic to his website on a monthly basis. Said, we own the marketplace. We've been in this marketplace for 51 years. We work with all the best contractors. We have all the best products. But we got this silly, stinking conversion rate that's less than a percentage point. I don't need you to help me drive more visitors. I don't need you to help me drive more awareness. I need you to help increase my conversion. So as you get into the marketplace and you start looking at different job opportunities, I would look at agencies that are doing this. Marketing as a science is absolutely where this world is going. I think the Harvard Business Review article that Dwight referenced mentions that as well. And then finally, Google, when I said, oh my gosh, I've been talking about ZMOT, I've been going all around the country, and people really buy into this. In franchising, it's kind of interesting because you think it's a simple concept, but it's not. So these simple concepts like you go online and you type a username and password, for some people you have to explain that you have to first select the browser, you then have to type into the browser, you then have to take your little mouse and click on, right? So these things are difficult for us for non-millennials. Google's now about 4 screens. So when Google talks with us and talks with our clients, they talk about 4 screens. I would encourage all of you, I saw some, you guys, I think some of you are in the room, but Adam literally blew our minds today in some of the work that you guys are doing on the 4-screen world. And the most interesting thing, because I know there's a lot of, I was a political science major, there's a lot of naysayers about that young people don't vote, and they could record this and pass it on to them, but a third of all voters, so that means 33%, us millennials, right, and maybe some Gen Xers, 33% of voters that voted never even saw a television ad. So that's kind of interesting. I'll leave you with that little note. 33%, 33 out of 100 people that voted. And when we look at the industry that we exist in, which gets me so excited because we're right at the forefront, and you guys are at the forefront because you're developing these things in your classes as classroom projects. You're developing these businesses and kind of moving along, but you're truly innovating. Google did a little survey of franchise brands. So the big brands like the Subways and the Arcos and the Arby's of the world, and maybe some of the smaller brands like CertaPro and Lenny Subs, UPS stores involved in this. 45% of all franchise brands aren't mobile ready. So 45 out of 100 brands, I think they surveyed about 600 brands, aren't mobile ready. And this is an incredible opportunity for all of us millennials, right? If we can speak about mobile, if we can show how it affects people's business, and we can increase conversion rates, we are going to be in an excellent place 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and onwards. This is shocking me. 45% aren't mobile ready. I mean, we all make purchase decisions on mobile. Finally, I'll leave you with something on search. So come 2015, that's in 2 years, I'm sure many of you will be moving up to senior account management or design positions, but we'll see search pass mobile. This is provided by BIA Kelsey, leading research firm. Quite interesting that in 2 years, more people will search on their mobile devices than they do on their desktops. So I leave you with that. We as millennials are an incredibly strong force. We do vote, and mobile will dominate search. So thank you very much.